Hello, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. Today with the tarot, we're going to explore a topic that was brought to my attention by one of my commenters. And they mentioned that there had been some unusual presidential pardons done recently by the current 46 resident in office. And so I decided to look at what they were talking about. And then I kept looking and looking. And now we have a video, which I will try to keep from not being a major rabbit trail, although I'll mention some of the thought patterns I had as I got ready for this. I am going to take you to a compilation. If it interests you to look at in closer detail, you can click on the Facebook link that'll be in the video description box. If not, just follow along and enjoy the video. So I'm moving to a share screen. And we're going to look at a turkey. No, not that one. That one. No, this one. Okay, well, this is just a picture of an actual Thanksgiving turkey that was given a presidential pardon, which is a humorous kind of annual event here in the United States prior to our Thanksgiving holiday. And I thought it was very appropriate since we're looking at presidential pardons. Let's do that. I have a government website you can click on and see the pardons that were granted by our resident from 2021 to present. If you look at the names and then some of the offenses, they do take a twist. They pivot a bit in September. And all of a sudden, these are not anglicized or Hispanic names at all. And they involve exporting goods, international money laundering, and Iran is listed in at least 2 of these. Yeah. And then this one is simply, and I say simply very facetiously, conspiracy to act as an unregistered agent. So here is what 46 did on September 14th. Now, if you recall, on the September 11th, which should have been a day when we don't talk about clemency for people that have done misdeeds against our wonderful United States of America. He announced that he had made a deal to do a prisoner exchange with Iran. And not only that, not a one-to-one exchange. Oh no, because he's not a good negotiator. He was also unfreezing $6 billion in assets. So that was last month. And 3 days later, here come the clemencies. More secret sweetheart deals? I don't know. If you wanted to remind yourself and refresh your memory about the September 11th announcement about the prisoner exchange and the $6 billion, you can go here. Now, I was trying to see if there were ties with that $6 billion. There's been talk that no matter what they claim, it may be helping to fund acts of terrorism. And I'm not going there in this video, but I'm not saying I won't go there in a future one. But this Twitter link here will take you to a post that's very interesting. This shows you our politicians who profit from war, an approximate amount. Okay? And it's just amazing on their salaries, what they're able to do. Just amazing. And as you can see, there's red and blue. Our uniparty is well represented. And there was another Twitter post that I really liked, and you might want to read the whole thread. Here is what you'll see when you click on it to start. Members of Congress purchased war stocks ahead of the attack on Israel. Those members include Kevin Hern, Texas House Representative Michael McCall, Michael Guest, Rob Whitman, Lois Frankel, Rick Larson, and Walter Schrader. Now, unfortunately, the Congress has been able to authorize themselves to do insider trading. As far as I know, there's been a lot of demand that they rewrite the statutes so that, imagine that the same laws that govern we the people also cover we the congressmen. I don't think that's happened yet. So I don't know that there was any official illegality in those investments, but it certainly would take away any non-bias you have if you're profiting from a war or conflict or something like that. You're not going to be motivated to end it. So that's very concerning for me. But let's go back to those presidential pardons that were done by 46. I'd like to ask the universe for insights and information about if the alt media chatter that those were different and the reason why can be shared with us at this time, plus additional insights and information the universe wants us to know. So our question is the chatter correct that those were unusual and that there's a really good and conflict-driven or profit-driven reason for it? Let's find out together. I'm going to switch the camera so you can watch me shuffle the cards, and let's see what we find out. Again, we'll be looking for, the question is there accuracy in the alt media chatter that those presidential pardons were different than those seen in the past by this resident of ours? And other insights and information the universe wants us to know. Okay, we have the 8 of Wands, the Hermit, the Star, the 9 of Cups, 7 of Swords, the Tower, and the 9 of Pentacles. Okay. I will talk about what the insights the cards are giving me, and then we'll look at elements of the cards that led me to make those statements. It's interesting that we've got major arcana showing up both in the line for the past, the present, and the near future, which means that there's some important information that's pretty solid here. And one of the things I am getting is that, and this interested me, is that these acts of clemency that 46 did, actually he got approval from the White Hats to do those 3. Now, his motives, he being 46, and his puppet masters, they weren't, as most actions that seem to come from them, about the interests of the American people, but it was furthering a self kind of serving agenda. But they got permission to do those, and that's telling me that in the future, if at some point, and I hope that point does come, that we get a correction of that office, and if it is determined that acts done during that tenure are not legal, I think some of them are going to be allowed to just stand because they've been, again, maybe vetted or approved or what have you, or they would just, because they would have been, they'll be redone. So I'm getting, because the 17th major arcana is the Star, and that is one just a good fortune, optimism. It's called the calm after the storm, and it's interesting that it is showing up in the past. So I would love that to be the case. We are sometimes told that we're seeing things play out that have actually been long settled in the background. And the Star card, besides being one of my alliance cards, being the 17th one, is, I mean, one of the phrases that go with it is the calm after the storm. I just love this card. So with the Hermit card also being closely tied with the Alliance and the White Hearts, that's why I'm saying that they were allowed to make those 3 acts of clemency, even though their motives weren't pure. They had some forewarning that there were lots of events that were going to happen. And indeed, they were trying to make those things happen. So I'm saying that because the This Wands card is about fast moving events. It's interesting. The suit that involves justice, written and spoken words, justice, and contracts are the swords. And the only sword card that shows up is in the near future, and it's the only sword card that's kind of tricky. Well, 3 is not a good one to get either. But anyway, because this card is about kind of making do, getting away with what you can, okay? It's not a card of honor and integrity by any means, no matter how it's read. Okay, so yes, those 3 pardons did deviate from what is usually seen in the way of presidential pardons, but there was a decision to allow them to happen. So the Biden administration, 46s, is actually pretty happy with them at the current time. So they feel like they've gotten away with some stuff. Have they? Not nearly as much as they had hoped. And in fact, there's going to be a tower moment impacting even what they think of as a partial success. The tower is showing up in the near future. I like that. What's funny is in tarot, the star card comes after the tower moment. In this layout, the star card comes first. And then we have the tower moment showing up in the near future as one of our insights and information. So even though they have been patting themselves on the back with getting away with a few things, whether it was a combination of those pardons, unfreezing the funds, making sure that big guys got their share, whatever, it's not going to ultimately work out too well for them. And I like seeing that. Okay, so while those pardons may be allowed to stand, it was a good observation on the part of that my viewer, that Anon, that they deviated from the norm. Absolutely. Now, another insight card here is the 9 of Pentacles. And this card is about, first of all, Pentacles are our real asset-driven type of things, currencies, precious metals, real estate, things like that. So always a nod to some material abundance going on here. And in addition, this card is often talking about some independence that's going to be happening in the near future. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with those funds, but we were asking specifically about the pardons. So let's see what the universe wants us to know. The Emperor shows up, another major arcana, and Strength, another major arcana. Kind of reassuring to me to see that even though those pardons were given out and they probably had some, not too honorable motives behind them, okay? The oversight of these, look at all of these major arcanas. We've got 3, 6, 9 cards, and out of those 9 cards, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 9 cards are major arcanas. So what's happening with that, those pardons, with what's happening in the Middle East, it is a pivotal event, and it is moving towards a tower moment that is going to, again, help us to move this calm after the storm to calm after lots of events. I love seeing that. So let's recap. The 46th administration has recently, last month, they have done some presidential pardons that seem to be different than the type and the recipient that has been the norm for this administration. So the universe was asked, we've got Anon speculating that those seem to be a little unusual. And is that true? Is there insights or information the universe has for us about those pardons and maybe motives or what's going on in the background? So here's what I got. The event itself, the pardons were what I'm seeing here is that the 46th administration, they knew they were coming up on some events. I'm thinking that there was some definitely foreknowledge about upcoming conflicts and trying to once again do a false flappy thing that gets people engaged and enraged and ready to take up arms against one another, because there's a lot of profiteering that goes on when that happens. and it's not the people in the conflict. Okay. The situation got some reassurance through this. First of all, that I had a lot of white hat cards showed up here, which tells me that those pardons were allowed to happen. They may have even been given an official nod because they weren't going to impact upcoming conclusions to a great degree. What was interesting was the star card came up in the recent past. And again, star card, one of my very top white hat cards, absolutely. And it showed this was one of the ones with the Hermit that made me say, oh, okay, they were allowed to do this. They may have even had to get the nod to go ahead and do that, depending on where you think the authority and autonomy are coming for actions out of that office. And if you think it's coming from the 46, yeah, okay, well, I don't want to get in trouble. Currently, because of those and other actions, there's a feeling of satisfaction in the camp of 46 for what's happened. And they feel like they kind of got away with something. They're going to find out that they didn't get away with not nearly what they thought they had. Again, that they were allowed to do that, these upcoming events. What was interesting was the suit about, there are some cards that specifically refer to justice and judgment. Those did not show up in the read. They also, the suit that also kind of works towards justice is the swords. The only one we had is one about the sneaky one of the sneaky ones. So in the near future, Tower moment. Now this is showing up as of today, the 18th of October, that we're coming up to a Tower moment. That is a pivotal moment when things change. Now, whether it's for an individual, a world situation, a specific country, I'm thinking since this read was specifically about actions within the United States, that we have a Tower moment coming. And one that's actually going to be ultimately well received. Okay, one that involves some increased prosperity and the United States operating ever more from a place of balance and strength. And this is my ultimate white hat card. Often it refers to 45. Okay, so that near future after the Tower moment. So that'll be interesting to see. So while there may indeed have been shenanigans involved with the unfreezing of funds, with the investing in the military industrial complex, with these 3 pardons that happened in addition to the prisoner exchanges, ultimately, it's still not going to change the fact that nothing can stop what is coming. And it's going to be great. So hold on to your hat because the Shenanigans Gang is trying to create a lot of anxiety and fear and worry. And that's not our job, is to buy into all that. It's to stay positive, stay neutral, to keep expanding your understanding of the world around us, unlearning previous programming, and just being the best darned human you can be. So until next time, I send you love and light and everything bright.